Hey, what's good, everybody? This is Adnan or AD in the Clutch, and like I said in my last video, for this video, we're going to talk about a future Hall of Famer and where his future will be. And the guy who I'm referring to is none other than Chris Paul. That's why I'm wearing his Houston Rockets jersey when he was there with James Harden. And so, obviously, we all know by now about the Bradley Beal trade. You know, him being traded to the Suns. And long story short, my opinion on it, because I want to stay professional in here, because that's what this channel is about. I want to give love and my opinion and my analysis for every team in the NBA possible. And so with that being said, long story short, I mean, I think it's a bad trade for both sides. I mean, Washington, their hands were tied. He had a no trade clause, so he decided where you can go. And Phoenix, I mean, they did give Denver a competitive series because they won 2 games, but you know, the problem was they needed depth because they were so top heavy. And what did they do? They did the opposite. They got more top heavy. So now it's just Durant, Booker, Beal, for now, Ayton, and a bunch of other guys that are probably going to be on minimum contracts right now. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I don't understand unless they have friends that are willing to take massive pay cuts to build a one-time squad to go for a championship, fine. But otherwise, I don't see this possible. I thought it made more sense for Miami. I thought Beal and Miami need each other more than the Suns, given each other's situation. You know, and obviously as a Heat fan, I would have loved to have Beal, you know, but that's a topic for another day. But anyway, this video is about Chris Paul. And so with that, Chris Paul was part of the trade to go to Washington, but Washington obviously is looking to find another trade partner for him to go. And a lot of people have been saying he might go back to the Clippers as a reunion. You know, that was arguably some of his best years over there. Of course, you're gonna hear the Lakers. You know, him being pals with LeBron. You know, and you know, they want a stable point guard, but like it's a revolving door. You know, I don't know what's going on. You know, they tried with Westbrook. Then they tried it with D'Angelo, and then they're not happy with neither of them, given their performance. Understandable, but if they're upset with both of them, I don't know how they're going to be happy with Chris Paul if Chris Paul's always injured in the playoffs. So, like, you know, if he's going to be your main point guard, I don't know. Like, it just, for the Lakers, I think it's just going to be a disaster, in my opinion. I mean, it'll make a great story, of course. The media will love it, but it just doesn't make too much sense to me, in my opinion. And the Clippers, I don't know. I mean, like, they've tried this experiment with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George for like 4 years now, and like they have not got past the second round. You know, even though that they've been the favorites. You know, especially when Kawhi and Paul George both signed, we all thought, including myself, I thought they were going to win a championship and be the next dynasty to come, but that has not happened yet. And Kawhi practically is always injured. And you put Chris Paul in there, you know, I hope they're both healthy, but like given their history, I mean, you can't fully rely on them. So that's kind of like a cause of concern. So I don't know. I mean, in my opinion, I know this sounds a little bit different, but like if Chris Paul is serious about trying to win a ring, especially in his last, I don't know, between 1 to 3 years of his career, realistically, I believe he should go to Boston. And the reason why I say that is because Boston is a young, talented team. They got Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, both entering their primes. And this is all guessing that Jaylen Brown stays in Boston. That's why I'm saying this. They have a great defensive player, Marcus Smart. Derek White, he's a great spark plug coming off the bench. There's a lot of different... Al Horford, he's still pretty good at center. You know, he can still rebound, he can shoot. You know, Chris Paul has a lot of people to work with. And if I'm him, like, I would be willing to take a minimum contract or like a mid-level exception contract so I can go to Boston, because Boston has a lot of depth. And Marcus Smart, I mean, he's a great player, but I just don't 100% see him as a true point guard. Chris Paul can either play that point guard role, either on a limited role, or if he's willing to swallow his pride, take a backup role so that he's not going to be as heavily dependent, especially come playoff time. So now he can just play like 15-20 minutes, but he'll be an effective locker room guy, an effective leader, because he's been to the finals, same with the Boston Celtics, and they both have ideas on what they need to do to be successful and to get over the hump and over the East, over Milwaukee and Miami, because those are Boston's main rivals at this point in time. And I just see that that Chris Paul, like he's really hungry for a ring. He's trying to join all these different teams, but like, you know, most of these guys are injured or on, you know, 1 to 2 year timetables. But Boston, if they keep Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum together, they can improve for the foreseeable future, because Jaylen Brown, one of his struggles that everybody keeps talking about is his ball handling. Well, with Chris Paul there, he can take up the ball handling responsibilities, and Jaylen Brown can focus on his strengths, getting on the inside, shooting threes, and then focus on defense. And he doesn't have to worry about like taking up the court all the time or like trying to dribble his way through. Just Chris Paul can pass it off, dump it to Jaylen Brown on a wide open shot, and Jaylen Brown keeps shooting, and then that narrative puts it to rest for now that he can't handle the ball. And then it also takes off pressure off of Jason Tatum, so that he can be able to be his own star player, and he doesn't have to like be all the time the #1 guy, having to do everything for the team, because they'll eventually get tired. You know, like as much as we respect these athletes, I mean, they're all human at the end of the day. You know, they can only do so much. That's what we saw with Jimmy Butler in the playoffs. You know, he can drop 40, 50 points a night, but like, you can only do it for so long. And by the time, you know, the finals came around, like he slowed down. I mean, which was expected. I mean, you got to have a well-balanced team. You know, you got to have depth. And I believe Chris Paul can fulfill that role, and Boston can go for all-in run if Chris Paul's willing to swallow his pride, go for at least 1 or 2 years with this team when they have the best window possible. And the East is not as heavily competitive compared to the West. You know, you got obviously the Lakers, you got the Nuggets who just won the championship. The Clippers I'm on the fence about. You got the Warriors. You can always be worried about the Warriors, you know, until Steph Curry retires, in my opinion. You got the Suns, and I can go on and on and on. You know, like the West is just fully loaded, you know, right now. So I would not want to mess with them. And then I even forgot to mention, you got Sacramento, who's like a young up-and-coming team. You know, the Grizzlies, you know, once they figure out their situation with Ja Morant, you know, they've arguably played better without him, you know. So there's a lot of competition around the West. So if I'm Chris Paul, I try to go East, and the best realistic option would probably be Boston, in my opinion. So if he wants to win, that's the best option to go for, not just for 1 year, but for the rest of his career. And he doesn't have to be the starting player to take on that heavy load, so that he's not going to be tired or wear out, especially as he ages, you know, for the next couple seasons. So, yep. So I believe that's going to be it for now. Thank you guys so much. Please like and subscribe. I appreciate all y'all. God bless, and have a great day.